Welcome to another episode of the Up and Running Pod. This is Turk at Bama Turk 46 on X, at Up and Running Pod on X. If you want to tweet the show or tweet myself, look, oftentimes we lead off with the same song, but I felt it appropriate after the dismantling of LSU and Alabama's resurgence as a great team this season to lead in with their fight song from back in Saban's day. Just what a great game. We got a lot of college football to cover, a lot of things to cover as far as injuries in the NBA early. We've got just some big stories to kind of take care of. A couple things that I want to talk about in the NFL that we don't cover in the show on Thursday nights. This is coming to you live on Friday morning. Not live, but recorded on Thursday night for Friday morning. We will see you bright and early today, Friday, November 15th, 2024. Like I mentioned, we had Alabama LSU this past weekend. What a great game. You can't deny that Jalen Milroe just has his way with LSU. Back-to-back games. Last year, this year, just absolutely destroyed them. 12 carries, 185 yards, 4 touchdowns, 42-13, just an absolute drubbing of LSU, and they really didn't have anything for them. It's pretty amazing that they can get the job done when they need to, but couldn't beat a team like Vanderbilt and couldn't hold their salt against Tennessee, and that's fine. Chances are there's going to be an 8-way tie. Actually, there probably aren't chances of that, but Texas A&M play each other with one loss. Tennessee has one loss. Georgia can straighten that out this weekend. But if A&M, if Texas, if Tennessee all lose and Alabama finishes out with 2 losses, as does Missouri, as does LSU, as does Ole Miss, as does Georgia, you will have an 8-way tie for first place in the SEC, meaning when you get down to the 37th and a half tiebreaker, Alabama should play LSU in the SEC championship game with a rematch of last weekend's game. It will go the same way in Atlanta. It might be worse. We're not sure, but I just have a feeling it would be worse. That being said, Tuesday night you had the release of the polls. All that's well and good. A lot of complaints, a lot of wham-wham going on. Look, the bottom line is, folks, this is the deal, okay? Nobody knows what's going to happen the last 3 weeks of the season, and I don't really care. None of this means anything. Okay, Alabama's in this week. Alabama knows good and well if they win out, they're in. If they win out, they're in. Oregon, win out, in. Ohio State, win out, in. That's the thing. Win out, and you're in. There are a few big contests left. You've got Texas playing A&M, last game of the season. You've got Tennessee at Georgia this weekend, plus a Vanderbilt game. BYU's got to get through their conference. Indiana's got to get through Ohio State. Penn State, I really don't understand Penn State being in the top 5. Listen, we can go through all the teams that have been beat, not been beat. Penn State's one loss comes to undefeated, or one loss Ohio State, whose loss was to Oregon. They had a close game against USC. A close game against Bowling Green, 34-27. And have routed just about everybody else, a 2-touchdown win against Wisconsin. And to finish their season, they got 3 wins: Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland. Purdue and Minnesota are away, but it's Purdue and Minnesota. Purdue is the last in the league, Maryland second to last in the league, and Minnesota is 4-3 in the league. So let's be honest here. Right now, the polls show Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 4, Indiana 5, and then you scroll down, and I think that's the last Big Ten team. But you got 4 of the top 5 Big Ten. They're not the SEC. Now, that being said, you've got number 3, Texas. You've got number 7, Tennessee. Number 10, Alabama. Number 11, Ole Miss. Number 12, Georgia. Number 15, A&M. LSU, number 22. Missouri, number 23. South Carolina, number 21. So there's 7, 8 teams in there, but the issue will remain a 2-loss SEC team, 6-2 in the conference, will win the SEC if the top 3 teams take a loss, which we know some of them have to. Tennessee's going to find out this weekend if they're going to be 8-2 or 9-1. Texas will wait till the last game of the season against Texas A&M. Texas A&M has 2 losses, but only 1 loss in the conference. The only other test for Texas finishes with 3 conference games. They got Arkansas this weekend. They've got Kentucky next weekend, which, let's be honest, even though it's in Texas, Kentucky's been a formidable opponent for everybody they've played this season that's worth anything. Took Georgia to the brink, played a couple other teams hard. They did what they could do to be spoiler. They had a chance. They had a chance against Ole Miss. They beat Ole Miss, had a chance against Vanderbilt. Had a chance against Tennessee, let the game get away from them. They got Murray State this week, could be a builder into getting into Texas. But as we go through the teams in the football rankings, the big thing that you have to remember is the top 12 only matter if Boise State gets in the top 12, because they're of the next 5. So the 4 power schools get in, which is the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 10, and the SEC. 4 slots already given to them. The next slot, guaranteed, goes to the highest ranked non-Power 5, with the exception of Notre Dame as an independent. So you're looking at Boise State at 8-1. If they finish out the season and win their conference, they're going to be the highest ranked conference champion, not in the Big 4. That puts them in. That's 5 spots taken. Then you have number 8, Notre Dame, 8-1. Horrible loss to Northern Illinois. They don't have anybody remaining on their schedule to speak of. USC is the last game of the season, and that means nothing. The only game that matters is the Army game. And let's be honest, folks, after the drubbing that Notre Dame gave to Navy, do we think Army's going to be any different? I don't think so. 51-14 Navy, 52-3 Florida State. Unless Virginia can show its prowess like they did against Pittsburgh, beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, beating Notre Dame at Notre Dame, Army's the toughest game they got left, and they can finish the season with 1 loss to Northern Illinois, who had to play a perfect game to beat them. Or Notre Dame played a bad game. It's no different than Vanderbilt over Alabama. Vanderbilt played a great game for them. Alabama played the worst possible game they could play. Penalties, interceptions, all types of dumb stuff going on. That's number 6, Notre Dame. Now you have 6 spots left for 3, as of now, 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5. We all know that's going to change when Ohio State either pummels Indiana or Indiana beats Ohio State. That will drop them. How far? Probably not out of the top 12, as it shouldn't. Penn State could possibly take another loss. But then you have the likes of 9-1 Miami, who just lost to Georgia Tech. It's going to be interesting, folks. This is what college football should be every year. And the NIL and the transfer portal will ruin it, because you're going back to what College Game Day, to what the NCAA football on EA Sports was before. You might as well take the names off the jerseys, because they're never going to stay at the same school more than a year. Out of the top 12 right now, you have 1 Oregon, 2 Ohio State, 3 Texas. Number 10, Alabama, you hope. I mean, I really hope, but Caleb Downs left and went to Ohio State. Number 12, Georgia, possibility. Depends on how good the parole officer is for the Georgia folks. But outside of Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas, the top 3 teams right now, and Oregon's got Phil Knight money, so they're not going to run out. Ohio State just dumped $20 million into a season where they already have a loss, possibly going to have 2 against Indiana. And Texas, well, Texas is Texas. With the exception of those three schools, I don't think anybody's safe. You don't know if your players are going to stay or leave. If somebody waves seven figures in front of them, they're going to bolt. I don't like the transfer portal. I don't like the NIL deals the way it is. Listen, I'm not an old Scrooge. I don't want it to be where, okay, we're going to regulate these kids, take all the money. No, I want them to be able to do the things they need to do to get paid. I'm all about that. But like the greatest coach ever said, it's not NIL anymore. It's collectives. It's just paying people to play. Call them employees and set up salaries. At the same time, if Oregon, Texas, or even A&M or Oklahoma State, the richest schools should be the richest schools in the country, don't win national titles, it proves my point that it doesn't matter. You still got to play. It's not basketball like with Calipari where he brought in five-star recruits and would win, but never win the big one. And I don't want to harp on it too long because college football's got a lot going on that's really good for it. The competition's great. It's spread out the best players. It allows teams to play. It takes away from teams stockpiling. And I get that. Look, that's great. But Dabo Swinney wants to do it the right way. And as much as I love that, he's got to get with the program to keep Clemson up. And the sad thing is that at this point, nobody's going to be able to do it the right way. And two coaches, Nick Saban and Tony Bennett, proved that by leaving before their next season. Saban the right way, Tony Bennett just got fed up and said, the heck with this, I'm done. And I understand that fine. That is 100% acceptable. But where the biggest problem is you take a guy like Dabo Swinney, who I have a lot of respect for the way he tries to go about a program. He's got to get out of his ways or he's going to lose his job. And Clemson owes him everything football-wise. Football-wise, they owe him everything. He's had one bad recruit in his whole time that I know of, one big-name recruit. I mean, goodness, he's nowhere close to Urban Meyer. Horrible. Horrible at Ohio State. Horrible at Florida. But Clemson has had one bad recruit in Dabo Swinney's time that everybody knows about, Deshaun Watson. That man is trying to raise men to be married to your daughters and good children to their mothers and then good fathers to their kids and, staples of their community. And there's a lot to be said for that. The problem is it's just going to keep getting harder and harder and harder when you're dealing with kids that have never had money and now they're being given money and want more and more and more. It's true what they say. It's a story as old as time. Give a kid an inch, they're going to want a mile. I hadn't planned on going down that path tonight, but it just came up. We have some interesting stories. Interesting. You've got a lot going on last weekend in college football. You have a lot going on this weekend in college football. The question is how much did we pay attention? How much did we look at just in general about everything that happened in the last 2 weeks? Because when you go back and look at the scores from 2 weeks ago, last week we missed our show. That's okay. But you go back and look, Louisville dominates Clemson for the entire game. Okay. So that's a big upset there. The ACC is going to struggle to get two teams into this. And then South Carolina out of nowhere shows up and demolishes Texas A&M. Beat them all 4 quarters of the game. Just up and down the field, did their thing, stormed the field. Absolutely crazy. Ohio State beats Penn State. Tyler Warren gets shut down. That's okay. He's still a Raider alum. That's fine. and then Indiana did their thing against Michigan. Okay? They did their thing against Michigan. They showed up. They played the way they're supposed to. They did everything that you have to do in the Big Ten to make sure you continue to win. Okay? You got to finish the season undefeated if you're Indiana, I believe. Losing to Ohio State, it's not going to be a 3-point affair. Ohio State's going to either beat your brains in or you go catch them by 2. One or the other. But last thing on the playoff. the rankings right now. You've got 6 spots left. I really think at least 2 go to the Big Ten. At least 2 go to the SEC. ACC, oh gosh, it's really tough to put anybody in there. Clemson's only lost outside of the conference is to Georgia. The loss in the conference is to Louisville. That's tough. The Big 12 might have the only option for 2 teams. If Colorado goes to the conference championship and wins it, the loser might have to get in the Big 12. Maybe. Or an undefeated one-loss Navy or Army, an undefeated Army, an undefeated Army or a one-loss Army who loses in the conference championship game deserves a shot. We'll see. We will see. Listen, Syracuse took a loss this past week. And let me tell you something. I've never heard anything funnier in my entire life. Okay? Boston College goes into stays at home, invites Syracuse to come over and hang out, and beats them 31-37. Now you're thinking, why does this game even matter? They're not ranked. Both of them have 3+ losses. 3-3 in the ACC for Syracuse, 2-3 in the ACC for Boston College. Here's the deal, man. Syracuse's head coach, okay? Syracuse's head coach came out in an interview, was asked about what he was going to do after the game, okay? Now, I have no problem with what the man does with his life. That's his personal deal there. But when you tell the entire world about your bathing habits, Fran Brown, I got to give it to you. You really went out of your way to let everybody know you don't take a shower. You brush your teeth, but losers don't deserve soap. Listen, I'm no I'm no bath and shower expert here, but let me tell you something. After you've been out on that field all day, bro, there's no way you're going home to your wife and being like, "I'm unclean, baby, but you got to deal with it tonight. We took a loss, and I ain't brushed my teeth, and I'm gonna get that done, but no soap for me." Like, how long does that wait? Do we do film session and then go back at it? I don't understand. Because let me tell you something. I'm pretty sure you get a sweat during the games, especially coaching in Syracuse. You got to wash, bruh. You gotta wash, man. Like, that can't be what we got going on. That can't be. That can't happen. Hopefully my man gets this message and starts bathing after losses. I bathe every day. Just let's do it. Let's do an everyday thing. Let's bathe, okay? Couple things for this weekend. You got Indiana not having a game this weekend. Next weekend's their big game against Ohio State. Notre Dame and Army next weekend. 11/23 is going to be a big, big weekend for the Big Ten. It's going to be a big weekend for that extra conference that gets in. It's going to be a big weekend for the independent Notre Dame. Notre Dame can't afford a second loss, I don't think. Like I said before, they got UVA this weekend. UVA just beat Pitt coming off that high. Are they getting happy? Are they ready to kick some butt in Notre Dame, South Bend, Indiana? I don't know. We'll see. This weekend, the 2 top 25 teams facing off against each other are Mizzou versus U.S. Carolina, because they're not USC, but the University of South Carolina versus Mizzou. And the game in college football of the week, outside of Alabama versus Mercer, Roll Tide, is Tennessee Volunteers at the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart knows it. I know it. The whole country knows it. Georgia can't lose another game. There are too many 2-loss teams in the SEC that won't lose another game. Tennessee has to win to keep their spot in the SEC championship as of right now. Texas A&M or Texas will lose in 3 weeks. So Tennessee has to get the job done, because if they don't, they're going to be in a world of hurt. LSU is the only guaranteed 2-loss team to be in the SEC championship game if everybody falls to 2 losses. Okay? You should really have to pay attention to that. Like I said, you got Tennessee at Georgia. And let's speak about Georgia for a second. One last thing on college football. This past weekend, Ole Miss at home took care of Georgia. The students wanted to storm the field. They did, 16 seconds too early. They cost the Ole Miss Rebels some money. I believe it was $175,000. They get off the field, standing behind the benches. We run the next 16 seconds out. They storm the field again, another $175,000 pop, bringing the total to $350,000. Meanwhile, all of us fans are like, all right, pay the fine. Some charity's going to get it. But wait a second. If what I heard is true this week, and I haven't checked it out, let's do that right now. Do it. The school that offends the rules, that breaks the rules and storms the field, has to pay the other school the money. That is absolutely insane. It really is absolutely crazy that they pay the other school. I just I don't understand how an away team is going to catch $350,000 because Ole Miss stormed the field. Now, mind you, it wasn't 175. It was 100 for the first offense and 250 for the second offense. Twice in the same game, folks. $350,000. I'm sure Lane Kiffin got that paid up real quick. Here's the other thing. Ole Miss was celebrating. Now, in the South, a lot of people travel from different states in the South, whether it's Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Kentucky, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Texas, Oklahoma. All in the South is good football. Well, one football player in particular for Georgia had some friends at the game. They go to Ole Miss. He was out dancing with them after the loss. Now, I don't think much of it. He got caught up. He's not a starter. He's not a great player. Didn't mean much to him. He'll see his time in a year or two. But at the end of the day, what are you doing? You can't be hanging out with other teams' fans while you just got your tail beat at their place. You get on the bus, get on home. What's going on? Kirby Smart called him an idiot, then apologized for calling him an idiot. No, he is an idiot. I'm sorry, I watch these kids today. They lose. They don't do well. It's crazy. You can't lose and be excited about it. You can't lose and not have any feeling. Like, show some emotion. If the other team's beating you, if they're pinching you, if they're hog-walling you on the ground, whatever they're doing, to get angry and do it back. Take the 15 yards. Remember, you only got one, though. Don't do a second one. You get thrown out. But y'all just possibly lost your playoff spot. As of right now, you're out. And you want to go hang out with Ole Miss? Come on, man. Ain't got time for all that. Ain't got time for that. I'm not going to make that a do better segment. Here's why. Because, the kid's young. He made a mistake. Ain't going to burn him for it. Where I am going to have my do better segment as we move on from the NCAA Roll Tide. Go Alabama this weekend. And go Georgia. Beat Tennessee. I want to see a big mess at the end of the season. Just keep Alabama in it. That's all I care about. We're going to move on to the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, everybody knows what happened. Blah, blah, blah. Nobody needs to hear it. Nobody needs to even question what I'm getting ready to talk about because we all saw it. We've all heard about it this week. Everybody knows what's going on. Okay? Everybody knows the redemption story that Jake Moody had. Everybody understands that. But here's where the issue comes in. Jake Moody misses 3 field goals against the Buccaneers this past Sunday. Deebo Samuel, understandably, is like, bro, you got one job. Get the job done. Goes over to him, runs his mouth, talks some trash, blah, 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 whatever. The place kicker then inserts himself in their argument. Deebo grabs him by the throat to push him, meanwhile dragging his hand back and hitting the kicker in the head. It's not that big of a violent action. But here's my thing with all of that. It's fine to show some emotion. It's fine to get upset. It is not fine for that initial physical violence. If you shove him, one thing, but to grab his throat? Not only that, some positive words of encouragement go a long way versus the negativity you were showing at that point. For a team that's had injuries out the wazoo, yes, I know you're fighting for every point. But please, let's be perfect. And honestly, I looked at Deebo Samuel's stats. He is. He is really good this season. But does that mean that he's really good every season? No. Let's go to the Super Bowl. Let's go to the NFC Championship game. He makes mistakes in the biggest games. Not saying Jake Moody won't if they get there. But let's be honest. Show a little more kindness in the way you go about it. I'm not talking about being a sissy. I'm saying there's a way to do it angrily. There's a way to do it with a temperament that says, hey, get your butt in gear. We know you can do it. Get out your head. Just go kick the football. But you don't need to do anything more than that. And I applaud the long snapper for defending his kicker. Now, you can say, well, it must have worked because he kicked the game-winning field goal in the fourth quarter. Yes, you can say that, but that's not what happened. He also made 3 other field goals that game that the 49ers could have scored touchdowns on, but, Deebo didn't get the job done. Or Brock Purdy didn't get to Deebo. But you're not going to say anything about that. That's where my issue is. He's just a kicker. You make 10 times what this guy makes. You make $24 million a year. This cat makes 1.3. He's not Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker makes your same salary. You say whatever you want to him. He ain't making kicks, which he hasn't done this season either. He's got the same percentage that Moody does. And Moody missed 3 in one game. So tell me now, just do better. Think about what you're doing. There's no need to burn teammates up when you might need them in the end. If he doesn't make that 4th field goal because he got in his head about what you were saying, how are you going to feel then? He made it. So, okay, we're going to wash it under. This isn't something that goes under. You don't grab somebody like that and it just goes away. These are grown men. I hold on for less. I can tell you now, you're not going to grab him by my throat. I'm not saying that I'm going to do anything about it, but it ain't going to happen but once. We ain't doing it no more. Deebo, do better. Still a great player. Y'all handled it inside, I guess. That's good for you, man. Great for you. By the way, the Washington Commanders took a loss last night to the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon Barkley he's just insane. He is just absolutely insane. We'll cover that next week in the Pick'em. We've done a lot of college football. We've done a lot of football. Not really. We had that one segment with Deebo. But let's be honest. Football is king. Football is exciting. Last Thursday night, the Ravens won by a point over the Bengals. It was great. It just right now, the Chiefs are just a heart attack game for their fans. It really is a fun season to be a fan. The Cowboys are getting demolished. The Jets are getting demolished. Life is good. Dolphins are, on the upward tick. They could have won the last 3 games. 2 of those games were field goal games, and they won last week. So, I hope you love the NFL as much as I do. That's all I want. Just love the NFL as much as I do. Look, I'm not a huge fan of the NBA. Okay? That's not a secret. Everybody knows it. I can't stand the NBA for a couple reasons. Look, first, this moron, basketball-wise, I don't know anything about his personal life. I do, but we don't talk politics here. His politics are dumb. I'm not talking about in America. I'm talking about overall things he believes and does do not align with how he believes America should be run. I have no time for that. Just because you want to have business in certain places doesn't mean their laws and activities should be different than what you want in America. Everybody should be a free person. Nobody should be in a country with communism. They should have rights. And the fact that this person doesn't believe that, who I'm going to say, he calls himself the king, and he is the king of staying around too long, causing teams to just give him way too much money. LeBron James, folks. Let me explain something to you. The nepotism shown by the Lakers and LeBron to bring his son in, to get him some points in the NBA, to put him in the G League, I really don't have an issue with. Look, man, you play in the league for 20 plus years. You dominate every statistical category you can for length of time, and got the most points on it. Look, you've done great things for the NBA. You've done great things for kids. You've done great things for LA. You've done great things in Cleveland, where you're from. Listen, there's a lot of positive to you, Sir LeBron James. And for that, I will show you some respect. But what I will not respect you for is the audacity of your ego to think that you can just do whatever you please in this league. You are painting a picture for a bunch of kids that watch you, that follow you, that see what you have done to teams and don't understand it because they're too young, but think it's okay to be a butt munch all the time. And now you got your third or fourth or fifth buddy coaching you. You can't make it work when somebody doesn't want to do it your way. And that's why the 2020 championship in LA doesn't count. It's why the one in Cleveland, regardless of what the Mr. Brueggemann wants to say, what the world wants to say, you didn't win that. Golden State gave that to you. That was chimed down from the commissioner and said, give it to him. Come on, man. You got to be ignorant to think that ain't what happened. Or I'm just an idiot for thinking it did. But here's the thing. You brought Barney in to share the court with him. What are you sharing the court with him for? What's the purpose? It wasn't important. Do it when you're defending your NBA cup. Oh, you can't do that because, y'all want to win those games. So you have them, or the Lakers decide to send him to the G League. And it comes out this week that he's not traveling to away games because he's got to fly charter. And if not, he just isn't going to away games. But he's going to suit up for the Lakers in the home games. Listen. They want to bring up Griffey. They want to bring up the Manning family. You can have a dynasty in a family of players that made it and had a great performance. Peyton Manning is the best quarterback in the Manning family. Archie Manning was whatever. I don't know. I wasn't alive then. And back then, you had, busboys playing on the weekends. Eli Manning has just as many Super Bowls as Peyton Manning, and he wasn't any good. He did enough to get by. They had a stellar defense. They beat an undefeated Patriots team. Regardless of how it happens, the NFL, anybody can beat anybody any day of the week. But that's a dynasty family. 4 Super Bowls between 2 brothers. 2 for the Giants, 1 for the Colts, 1 for the Broncos. Dynasty. Ken Griffey Jr., barring injury, would have been the greatest home run hitter to ever play the game. But he went to Cincinnati, and that's when bad stuff started to happen. Ken Griffey Jr. played with his dad in the outfield. Don't get me wrong, baseball's a different game. But they both deserve to be on the field. And I don't believe that Bronny deserved to be on the court. I definitely don't think he does now. I'm sorry. I am not a fan of you, LeBron James. And let's be honest, you're never going to hear this. But I am not a fan of you, and I am not a fan of what you're doing with your son. What you're allowing him to do. What are you teaching him? Hey, son, you don't want to travel with that team? That's fine. That's not a problem. You stay right on here. It ain't bring your son to work day. You're going to cripple a franchise if you keep hanging around. The big stat this week was you're the oldest one to have 3 triple-doubles in a row. Woo! Well, when you can score points the way you score them, when you can dish it off, and it's just so easy to do everything now. The NBA, there's no defense, it's 3-pointers, and they barely pass. Play basketball. Stop playing shoot around. Tired of waiting till April, May, June to see good basketball. The Celtics are putting up 53-pointers plus a game. I bet there were teams in Larry Bird's day that didn't put up 53-pointers in a season. No, not really. They shot at least one a game. I mean, what are we doing? Basketball's bad. Basketball, the NBA is bad. And you're paying guys way too much money to be mediocre. I mean, right now, your former team is undefeated. And who have they beat? Everybody. They beat the Bucks twice. They've beaten the Warriors. And they're scoring 100 points a game. 110, 120 points a game, man. Beat you by 24 points. 13-0, folks. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Are they legit? Who knows? I don't know. Do y'all know? What I will tell you is it really doesn't matter. Because you've got the Bucks at 4-8. We know they're better than that. Or you hope they are. Giannis is one of the best players in the world. Golden State loses Klay Thompson. They're in the top 2 in the Western Conference. The Mavericks are in the bottom 5. Like there's a lot going on in the NBA. Meanwhile, the focus this week has been Bronny James not going to G League. For those that don't follow the NBA closely, I do not. I don't follow it until it's time for the playoffs because I like seeing good basketball. Start the season December 25th. You don't need 82 games to figure out the Wizards suck. You don't need 82 games to figure out who's tanking. You don't need all this. It's too much. You're not selling out every night. But I can tell you where they do sell out. Done with NBA. For now. That's the NHL. The NHL is probably the best run league for fans. The NFL is not the best run league for fans. They're money hungry. The NHL is not necessarily money hungry. Their tickets are way expensive. You know, you're looking to go to a good team, you're at least 100 and a quarter to see it. Right? And that's okay. 82 games. You know, you see, home and away with every team, multiples for the ones in your division and the ones in your conference. But when you get down to it, at the end of the day, they don't have the most money. For some reason, I don't understand. Because they definitely provide the best sport. It's physical. It's fun. There aren't many people that go watch hockey and say, I don't want to watch hockey anymore. What's the NHL? People love it. The hard part is you have a lot of teams in the South. Capitals, they consider them South. The Hurricanes, the Florida Panthers, the Tampa Bay Lightning, Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, the LA Kings, the Vegas Golden Knights. The Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, it is so hot out there. Anaheim, San Jose, and they're out west. I get it. But there ain't a whole lot of hockey there. Canada, the North. Heck, here in Richmond, we got a place out in Powhatan. And in Short Pump, we got 2 ice rinks, maybe 3, just in Richmond. So the sport's growing. Probably not as fast as soccer, but it should. But the NHL does a great job for their fans. They're having a great start to the season. Another record-setting pace like the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Winnipeg Jets are 15-2 through 17 games. That is amazing. For a team that left and moved. It's amazing. I tell you about the NHL. I'm a Colorado fan. They're doing great this season. I tell you about the NHL to tell you that the NBA is going to need to do something because they're not putting a great product, and this NBA Cup is a joke. Ain't nobody hanging that banner except LeBron and his Lakers. I'm the first to do it. Well, that's great. Nobody cares. Like, just because you keep telling the commissioner to make up stuff so you can get more crap doesn't mean it's good. The NBA is paid by a bunch of people who like watching bad basketball. The NFL is paid by a bunch of people that just love football. And soon the NCAA will be the same way. And this is kind of a different tangent tonight. you get kind of tired of it. Yeah, the NBA is just it's everywhere. ESPN runs it 27 and a half hours a day. But why? It's not that good. So we're going to get off of it. A bunch of injuries this year for the NBA starting out. A little bit crazy, but move on to the other one of the big four. Look, Cincinnati's going to have some Rose visitation for, I believe it's 8 hours or so, maybe 6. They got it right. Pete meant a lot to a lot of old guys. He's not an old stadium. He wasn't around when any of us were born, or anybody under my age was born. He was out for gambling. The big story growing up for me was they go let Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. What did he do? He gambled. Did he gamble on his team? But yeah, only to win. Well, why is that true? I don't know. But Cincinnati did it right. Let the fans that remember him, let the fans that got to watch him play. Because one thing's for sure. The man could play baseball. He could hit a baseball, and he hustled. You don't see a lot of that today. People want to hit home runs, but you don't see them eking it out. You don't see the David Ecksteins of the world that want to play on a walk. They're running to first base. Easy out. They're running to first base. They're tagging the bag. You don't see that today, and Cincinnati got it right. So good for them. The Yankees, after a devastating loss in the World Series, are going to keep Boone, which is great, I guess. I don't know. I'm so sick of the Yankees. Mike, I know you don't love it, but I'm sick of your Yankees. Juan Soto's coming up. Dodgers are probably going to get him. Maybe the Yankees keep him. Maybe he goes somewhere else. The only other options are Mets and Dodgers, if they really want him, can outbid them too, I believe. But we'll see. Baseball, winter breaks coming. Winter meetings are coming, excuse me. So that's going to be interesting to see where everybody goes as we move forward to the fall and winter. Again, big games this weekend in the NCAA. In the SEC, especially Mizzou and South Carolina. You have Virginia at Notre Dame coming off a big upset at Pittsburgh. And then the big one, you've got Tennessee at Georgia. Lastly, I saved this for last. We normally do the ovals at the end. We're going to do the ovals before this because I want to close with this last one. But Joey Logano got his third NASCAR championship with a win this past weekend at Phoenix. Good for him. He's a little punk from Connecticut. Don't like him at all. But hey, good for him. Now, the one thing that I've been looking forward to since it was announced over a year ago, the one thing that I have been excited about since I was a kid was watching this and it being like it was when I was young, is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Let me tell you something. Mike Tyson was in some really exquisite shorts for his weigh-in tonight. And he's old. Don't get me wrong. 58. He's an old dude. Okay. They faced off after their weigh-ins. And Tyson smacked Paul right in the mouth. And I love it. Here's why I love it. And a scuffle broke out, but here's why I love it. Now, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders are here cheering this one because, at the end of the day, they ain't cheering on Dak Prescott and the Cowboys anymore. So, but here's the thing. When you watch Tyson, he is entertaining. The question is, will he be able to handle growth hormone Jake Paul? I think he will. There have been rumors that it's already been decided. Hate to think that, but it's a possibility. Listen, Netflix is putting this on for free. And, it is what it is, okay? And I want this to be a great fight. I want it to show what Tyson can do. But we all understand money talks. And if you're talking about getting $80 million, that's a lot of money, depending on how long it goes, the show you put on, blah, 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 all that stuff. So I am interested to see if they show up and fight, if Tyson goes at him and gets after him. It's only 2-minute rounds. I mean, is Jake Paul going to go in there and, just tap him here, tap him there? I don't know. Is he going to just catch points off of that, or are they going to fight? See, here's the difference between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul and Jake Paul's other opponents. Tyson is an actual fighter, okay? Tyson fights. Tyson does not box. He's admitted that, okay? But can he contain himself in a 2-minute bout and just pummel away at Paul for the first few rounds and then annihilate him in the end? Hopefully. That's what most of us want to see. I just want to see a good fight. It's like when you buy the UFC pay-per-view. This is on Netflix, by the way, for free. When you buy the UFC pay-per-view and the main event comes and you're like, yeah, Conor McGregor gets in the ring versus whoever he's fighting, whether it's Cowboy, whoever, and it's like, good fight, knockout in 30 seconds. Bro, the undercard was horrible. Then what are we doing here? 30 seconds? That's how people felt back in the day on closed circuit television, pay-per-view, when they would buy the Tyson fight and he'd knock him out within a minute. Definitely want to see that. Want to see him be, just get after him. It excites me up. Like, let's go. I want to see him turn the entertainer off and get into fight mode. I mean, it's a lot going on tomorrow night. It's going to be exciting. They're fighting at Arlington, at Cowboy Stadium. It's everything that you can imagine it's going to be, but it's either going to be a great show, if it's rigged, or it's going to be a great fight. But one way or the other, I'm going to watch it, and I know all the group chat boys are going to be on it. It's going to be a great one. Get your popcorn ready. Get you a cold beverage. Be ready. I bet you Mayweather's watching. I bet you he knows what he's doing. He probably got some dollar bills y'all on it because he got plenty. He made plenty from these kinds of fights. Yeah, I'll fight Conor McGregor, but I'm going to get, $100 million, $200 million for it. I mean, okay, sign me up. Sign me up. Listen, it's been a little bit long. I know I kind of went on. I had a good time tonight. Talked some college football. Got some NFL in there. Talked a little bit NBA, MLB, NHL. I know it kind of went along with that. But, hey, the important thing is I had fun. I hope you find something interesting. I hope you have a great weekend at BamaTurk46, at Up and Running Pod on X. Check out Mike at M_squared11. Y'all have a good night. Have a good weekend. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace.